The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
Open your eyes.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Open Your Eye, the podcast where we have two patients flying through the realm of psychedelic medicine here on the NOK Network. Me, I'm your joint host, Kim Cooper, and my awesome side partner here, Tarra Simpson. How's it going tonight, Tarra?
Oh, I'm great tonight, Kim. How are you?
I'm not bad now. Yesterday was fucking awful.
I know, you had a couple rough days. Something about some bad hummus. And I'm assuming we're talking chickpea hummus.
Yeah. You know, I don't do a lot of grocery shopping like in a grocery store. Most of my stuff is farm produced. But, we do get, some staples at the grocery store. And we were out of a couple of staples, and Steve was in the grocery store. And he sees this packaged hummus, and he's like looking at it because he knows I like hummus. And thought he was doing something very nice for me. And he bought me a few flavored hummuses. And one was supposed to be mixed with like avocado. And the other one had some other flavor in it and whatever. And I looked and I went, I don't know, because it's a package. And I am hesitant about packages, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll open this one up that's supposed to be avocado and hummus. And okay, well, I like guacamole. So, and that's avocado.
Right.
So, okay, let's try this. So I take a fair sized scoop because I like hummus. I eat it, and I'm eating it, and I'm like, it tastes a little funny. And it's like, tell myself, well, that's maybe because of the avocado. So
right, the combination.
A couple of big scoops with some pita bread. And, no, it tastes a little funny. I'll put the lid back on that. Yeah, within 2 hours, man, I was sick.
Yikes. Some of that prepackaged store-bought stuff, you just don't know, right?
Yeah.
You hear of recalls all the time that happen because it's contaminated and it takes somebody getting sick, and unfortunately that was you. Hopefully nobody else buys that same hummus and gets sick.
But it tastes a little off the first bite.
Yeah.
Don't take more to figure it out.
No. I think the last time this happened to you was like over a year ago, and it had something to do with bad mayonnaise.
Just to make sure.
Yeah. Don't do it. It's not worth it. If it smells funny or tastes funny, probably a good idea to just avoid it.
Yeah,
unless you have no sense of taste or smell, in which case have someone else taste or smell it for you.
But what is a new flavor? You're not real. Like, is that what it's supposed? Is it supposed to have that taste?
Right.
Like, is it supposed to taste like that?
And different brands sometimes use different seasonings and stuff too. So I get it. Oh my God, Kim. Yeah, I heard that was a rough couple of days, but
it was.
So glad that you're feeling better.
Yeah, I'm on the mend. Everything is back to normal where it should be.
Yeah. Especially, there's three of you living there and only one bathroom. So when you're sick, it's like, get the fuck out of my bathroom.
Out of my bathroom right now. It's some bad hummus.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Never question. Thank you, Steve. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, it's morning over there in Scotland. I know it is nighttime here for us, but it is morning for Steve right over there in Scotland.
Good morning.
Morning. It's midnight for him. So, yeah, early morning hours over in Scotland. Interesting couple of days. I had a couple of days off. I took yesterday off from Peace News and Views, but it was a perfect opportunity to actually run a replay podcast of our one and only podcaster here, fellow reporter here at NOK Network, Mimi Cannabis, who was the recipient of a couple of awards this past week. We are very, very proud of Mimi for everything that she's done and all that she's accomplished in her space. So shout out to Mimi Cannabis. And it was a perfect, maybe, everything happens for a reason. I got sick, so we ran Mimi. We had an interview in the bank for Mimi, so we put that on in honor of her win. So that was it was nice to be able to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, Mimi's been in the space a long time too. She's what we class one of the seniors in cannabis, and she's been advocating for patients for longer than I've been doing this. So it's about time she got the recognition that she deserves. The categories that she won for are absolutely Mimi through and through. And I'm so stoked. I can't wait to see her. I'm hopefully going to see her in April sometime at a Hamilton shindig, possibly, in and around 420. Just saying.
Just saying. We may be all getting together in the very near future. Tonight, we've got a very different episode. We do this probably once, maybe twice a year, usually once a year at least. Where we do a joint host check-in, because as we say at the start of this show each and every week, we are two patients flying through this realm of psychedelic medicine. We're both on our own journeys, doing our own things. We're both utilizing psychedelics as medicine. And we've had the honor and privilege of speaking to so many people in this space, from professionals to patients, to entrepreneurs and everybody in between. So it's been an interesting year since we caught up last.
Oh, it has been. So much time has flown by. I don't even know where the year has gone, to be honest. Like it's like a blur to me. Our last update, was over
almost a year ago. Yeah, it was about a year ago. It was just under or just over. I know we're right in and around the 1 year mark, but it's been a while. But we've been so bloody busy. We haven't had a chance to sneak in a podcaster update episode because we've been pretty much solidly booked with so many wonderful, wonderful people. I tried to keep this space open so that we could give an update before we go on our break, because we are taking the month of April off. We'll remind all of our peeps out there that there will be no Open Your Eye episodes during the month of April. So this will be our final episode until we return in May. So I thought, well, okay, that's a great spot to sort of land and give an update. And then we're going to be implementing some stuff in April. So it would be a great opportunity to do this update and then come back and refresh everybody in May.
Absolutely. April's going to be a pretty busy, crazy month. As everyone knows, Kim is going on the road. She's going to be down here with me at the beginning of April until closer to 420. And we have lots of things planned. Hopefully lots of other things yet to plan as far as like things to do and people to see. And, maybe there's some people down this way that maybe want to do a recorded interview, patient story in person. Maybe they feel more comfortable doing it face-to-face. If that's the case, reach out. If you're in the Kitchener, Toronto, Waterloo, Stratford, London area, Hamilton even isn't too far. We can always reach out and do that. That would be really cool to do and actually meet them in person. Most of our guests we meet virtually. 3/4 of them, I can honestly say I have never, ever met in person, face to face. So Yeah, there's very few that I can say I've actually met. One of them that I really think that we should maybe try and reach out to is Allison.
I'd love to hook up with Allison. That would be so
Yes.
cool to be able to hook up with Allison while I'm down there.
She is down in Burlington, I believe. Burlington, which is about an hour-ish from me. So that's doable if Allison is watching or hears this. Shoot us a message. Let us know what your schedule is over the next couple of weeks. We'll make a trip up and we'll have a sesh and a chat.
Yeah.
And as far as like events and stuff, I haven't heard much about what's going on in April leading up to 420, but I'm sure there'll be some stuff. I'm sure there will be. There's always something happening in Toronto.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if there's not the venues, whether there's an event taking place at the venue or not, the venues are there.
Right.
And, if we can't hook up there with an event, then I'll absolutely be attending the venue either way and go in and just say hi to whoever happens to be hanging out at the lounge on that particular day. And, stay for a soda, as they say, and then a toke, and distribute some goodies from the NOK network and also from the 710 Stoner Games. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to publicizing not only this network, but a couple of the events that we host here through the network and that the network is a part of. So looking forward to my tour for sure for that purpose, for going coast to coast. But what I'm really most, I think, looking forward to, also in that itinerary, I am hitting BC, by the way.
Yes.
With that, let me throw that in there before I move on, before I forget. 17th to the 22nd, I will be in Vancouver. I'll be attending the Three Happy Cats 419 and 420 events, and I plan on taking one of those days as well outside of, it'll be either the 18th or the 21st, one of them, or even perhaps both, we'll see. I will be with Neil Magnuson at his shop.
Oh, amazing.
So,
amazing.
On the 19th and the 20th, those are both occupied. So I have, I land at late in the afternoon on the 17th, and I leave late in the day on the 22nd. So that leaves me the 18th and the 21st are open. And I plan on taking at least one, if not both of those days, and going and hanging out with Neil Magnuson.
That's fantastic that you have that opportunity, Kim. I'm so envious. I'm so disappointed I couldn't make this come together for me to go with you, because it would have been like the most
epic
ever. Oh my God, we've had so many journeys so far together, and every time we always have a good time. So
always
this year it just wasn't in the cards for me. Life things, you know.
I get it. Shit happens.
Rural living things, money things.
I get it. I don't know how I managed to pull this off and pull it together, but I did. And
you did. And you're gonna have like the most amazing time out there. I'm definitely gonna have to get you to send me a list of things that might be available in Neil's shop, and just so I can see what's up and what you might have to bring back.
Absolutely. A real highlight for this trip, where this trip all began, which is kind of funny. When you go about it, this turned into like a 3-week extravaganza, and it started off to be a 3-day weekend.
Right.
It was a 3-day weekend. I was taking 3 days off of NOK Network, and I was coming down to visit with Tarra, and her and I were going to attend a concert for my birthday for a band that I really, really love. This band is called My Son the Hurricane. No, it is not my son. The name of the band is, quote, My Son the Hurricane. And I made that mistake the very first time I went and seen them. I thought I was going to see somebody's son. And then I realized when we got there, that's the name of the band. It's not your kid. Okay. I had that totally wrong the very first time I went and seen them. So I make sure I explain that now. But yeah, this is an epic band, and they were playing not far from where you live, Tarra. And I saw, and it was like the day after my birthday. And I thought, oh, wow, we're going. And I just went out and bought tickets, and I said, okay, we're going to a concert. And that's how all this started.
And
then,
I've never heard of the band,
Yeah.
to be honest, until you mentioned them. I had to look them up. I'm like, fuck if I know what I'm going to see, but I'm sure Kim likes them. It'll be fun. We'll have a blast.
and it's Naomi Poley that turned me on to these guys.
No way.
Yes.
Naomi likes them. That's cool.
Naomi
That's cool.
took me to see them at Lee's Palace in
No
2018.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
It
wild.
was Naomi Poley that turned me on. She had an extra ticket, and I was in town for an event, and I was covering an event for my former station, and she's like, "Hey Kim, I got this ticket. You want to come?" And she told me the name of the band, and I thought I was going to see her son, and then I find out, well, no.
The band is called. That's awesome. That would have been an epic time. Naomi is such a cool lady. Like, just a cool hip.
It was all Naomi's crew too, all the regulars.
Yeah. Oh, geez. They were all there too?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
That would have been
Never
like, yeah. You can't go wrong with any of them. Again, all very OG people in the industry, patient consumer advocates. They're always a hoot.
So now this band is happening on the Saturday. So it's, well, I've got to come the day before so that I'm there on time because the buses land at like midnight and shit, right? So I said, okay, well, I got to come the day before. Well, the day before is my birthday. Well, fuck, I don't want to spend my birthday on a bus. So that means I got to come the day before that, which is the Thursday. So now I'm going to have all Friday open. And lo and behold, we have a conversation with our friend from here on the show, Jemison Rambarose.
Yes.
And I've arranged a guided trip with a few different modalities. And after my meeting with Jameson, this is something that you may not be aware of yet. There's much more going on than what was originally planned. There is now 3 modalities that are going to take place over the course of 4 hours.
Oh, cool. And what are we doing other than DMT?
Well, anybody out there that watched our movie night presentation specials, if you watched our special with Michael Pollan on how to change your mind, part 1, when it started right off, he went into this with the idea he was going to examine these 4 different modalities. And he met up with the Native woman shaman who said, well, if you're going to embark on this journey, you need to start with the grassroots and the very, very first modality, which is tobacco snuff.
Oh,
so it's the ground up essence of a purely grown leaf tobacco with no additives or chemicals. Yeah. And they take that pure leaf tobacco and it is then insufflated through your nasal passages from the facilitator. So you're not snorting it, it's being blown up there.
Yes.
By your facilitators. So that's going to be the first thing is I'm going to be doing this tobacco installation.
Wow. We're talking full ceremony mode.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's special. That's super special.
So I'm going to be doing that first.
Yep.
And then over the course of the next few hours, with a small short recess in between, I will learn the difference between 5-MeO DMT and NM-DMT.
Oh, wow.
So back to back, the differences and what effects they have on me will be very clear.
Absolutely. That's going to be quite the journey, I think, for you. Yeah.
And this is all taking place on my 61st birthday.
That's incredible. At 61, you're still playing with psychedelics and still functioning. I mean, for all yous out there that think, the psychedelic era of hippies, it's fried our brains and stuff like that. We're actually very high functioning people. Kim
runs a fucking network.
she wouldn't be able to do that if her brain was fried. So just disclaimer out there for all of you older folk who are maybe considering, taking a microdose or trying a little bit of LSD. Believe me, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah, I'm a published writer. I run a network. I produce shows. I make commercials. I do graphic arts, and I run an off-grid solar house. There's nothing stagnant or stale or comatose about my life.
No, I think if anything, Kim, to be honest, it's given your brain a lot of neuroplasticity. To be able to, multitask and shift and focus and do things that I don't think without that in your life, you would be functioning at the same level.
That's right.
There's a lot of 60-year-olds that aren't functioning at your level. So, a lot of it, cannabis, yes, neuroprotectant, but the mushrooms and the LSD.
They've opened the pathways, right? We know this. We know this now from the science. The MRIs and the brain scans and everything else have shown us that neural pathways are being grown with the use of these psychedelics. So they're rebuilding networks that were damaged from pharmaceutical use. And all of that is coming back and creating a new neural net and keeping me functional.
Absolutely. I find the same thing. Like for me, it's been a game changer bringing mushrooms into my life, whether in a microdose or a macrodose, depending on what my needs are day to day, week to week, moment to moment, even, right? Because as you know, life can throw you all sorts of lemons, and you just got to figure out how to make that lemonade, which I've done every step of the way. But pre-mushrooms, I wouldn't have been able to make that lemonade. I would have been curled up in a puddle in my bed, avoiding life, hibernating from people, hiding, just leave me alone. I'm just going to stay here for 4 days and not function, right? Because life will just go away, which, as we know, that doesn't happen. But that's where I was prior to playing with mushrooms. For me, that was a game changer, and it wasn't immediate. It's not like, I went and had a mushroom experience and like my whole life changed, because it didn't.
It's slow, man. It's a slow, very slow and long process. I mean, by the time I noticed there was any changes happening, you look back and you realize the change was slow and profound.
Absolutely. Every change had a purpose and a reason for happening. It wasn't like I just woke up one morning and said, "Oh, I'm just going to be a different person," and changed. Like, it was slow progressions. It was, like having an experience and having a thought process and being like, "Whoa, 10 years ago, I did this, and wow, I realize now what a dick I was." And then so you start making
holy fuck, you're sitting eating your dinner and have that aha moment about something way long ago that you weren't even thinking about. It isn't in your gut, but all of a sudden, boom, there it is in your brain, and you're just like, oh man, what a dick. That was me.
And I did that understand it. How do I change that? And why did that trigger me? Right? So, and you start doing the processing before you even realize you're doing processing. Like, I didn't realize that's what I was doing. I just thought, it quiets some of the thoughts in my brain, like some of the negative shit, but it just makes me feel happier. But I didn't realize I was actually doing the work. The first year and a half, I didn't get that from it. I just realized that it helped some of my pain symptoms and made me feel better. And, but now that I look back 4 years to where I first started to where I am now, the difference is profound. 4 years ago, I wouldn't have even come on a show, let alone do 2 joint shows. I do Open Your Eye, and now I do Psychedelic Reporters as well. And reading out loud has never been something that I was good at, ever. Public speaking didn't happen. I didn't even write the speech. I took detention and climbed out the window. And then, play sick for a few days, in which case my nanny would come and pick me up because my mom would be trying to force me to go to school. I wasn't really sick. She knew it. I knew it, but we had to play the game because I didn't want to get detention for the speech I had to do the next day, So things like that have changed. I can do a show now and it doesn't faze me. If I have to pick up, like this past Tuesday, we had some tech issues on our show, unfortunately, and we couldn't get the article up, and there were some issues with Hobby's computers. And I mean, I'm not the main host on the show. That's his show, and then I joint host. But I just snapped into show's got to go on, and let's get this shit done. While he fixed his issues, and we just kept reading the article, and it was just. I looked back after the show and I went, oh my God, like I couldn't have done this even a year ago. Reading, I know you asked me to fill in a couple of times and I was like, nope, no, I don't know.
Tara's backed up, fucking bus up. No way, man.
Right. Like I've always been very camera shy. Not that I wasn't an outgoing person, because I am very extroverted. Always have been my whole life. I was always, doing karaoke in bars, but generally there was alcohol involved, Right.
Courage, as we used to call it back in the day. That's what got us through the night. Yeah.
But you couldn't get me to even give a speech at my own wedding when I got married. It didn't happen. It wasn't happening, and no one could make me.
Not happening, dude. Yeah.
It didn't. I did not give a speech at my own wedding when I got married many years ago. Maybe that was also an omen because, 13 years later, c'est la vie. But I couldn't even get up in front of my own family and friends and give a speech. Right. But now here we are years later, and I have no qualms about being on a show or talking about my experiences or sharing that sort of information with people I've never even met who are hiding behind their computer screens at home watching the show, right? That would have freaked me out. Yeah. So mushrooms has given me that ability, I guess, to be able to overcome some things that I think I was dealing with and didn't realize that it was an issue. But it was an issue. Now that I look back, I mean, I should be able to give a speech or do some public speaking of some kind. It's okay to be a little nervous but I just would literally avoid shit. And it wasn't just that. It was other things in my life. I would literally avoid things because if I just pretend it's over there in the corner and it doesn't exist, it's not going to affect me. So now I'm able to kind of process things and prioritize things better. I wouldn't say I'm great at it, but I'm definitely a lot better in the sense that, when life starts piling shit on you, instead of collapsing, I actually can kind of pull off this piece and pull off this piece and be like, okay, so this pile here is got to do next couple of days. This pile here, couldn't do that before.
Yeah, that's right.
My life would turn into a shitstorm, and then I'd have to call a friend or call my mom and, help bail me out and figure this out with because I can't deal with life.
Yeah, my go-to was curl up in a ball, and it doesn't exist. I'm just going to curl up and ball. I'm going to fall the fucking pieces. Somebody better pick it all up because I'm done. I'm out. That's it.
Yeah. And that was for so many freaking years. When I look back now, I'm just like, it's so profound, the differences, but I just didn't realize the differences until I started thinking about it this past little bit, right? And going wow, look how far I've come. I run my company, so I keep busy with that. I, make a lot of goodies for a lot of patients. Some people, need their microdoses, so I make a lot of that for patients, or custom dosing depending on what their needs are. I'm able to talk to patients and communicate a lot of information that I 4 years ago had no freaking clue. Right. The amount of research and knowledge that I have gained in 4 years. And reading was something I used to love to do. And I think it was because it was an escape, right? Years ago, it was okay, I could get into my crime books and just tune life out and just stick my nose in a book. And I still like to read, but I also found that things that were I guess, educational, dry reading material. And some of those like medical reports and journals and stuff can be very dry reading material. So I have a hard time focusing because ADHD, right? Very undiagnosed, but I have every report card that specifically says head in clouds, should be a notebook. Just saying.
Didn't know have a name for it then.
In early 90s, girls didn't get ADHD. It was just a boy thing, and all my brothers have it. So go figure. So I didn't learn how to deal with any of that. So when it came to like having to focus in a classroom, I couldn't do traditional like dry material. But I've learned now with LSD microdosing, gives me that focus that it's like giving Ritalin to my brain without the pharmaceutical effect. I find more focus with being able to like actually sit and read something. Whereas mushrooms, I want to be more creative, if that makes sense. Like I want to do more other things, but the LSD is like a super focus, like somebody's given my brain a stimulant coffee that's going to make me sit here and read for the next hour and not lose where I was 30 million times and have to reread it. Because that was always a problem, right? If it's something I couldn't get into, which a lot of my schooling in my younger years, that's what it was. It wasn't that I wasn't smart. I just learned differently. And the school system didn't know that. Now that I know, I've done really well in my adult years, but I still struggled in college, right? I didn't do psychedelics in college. I didn't even smoke weed in college, to be honest. And then I was raising kids when I was a soccer mom and PTA mom and doing all the, and going to school full time and running home daycare. And like, I never stopped, right? But cannabis wasn't a thing. We drank a shit ton because that was socially acceptable. Right. But yeah, we didn't, cannabis wasn't a thing. Maybe at New Year's, one of our friends would bring a joint over, and when the kids were all in bed, we'd go up and smoke it, right? But yeah, it was not a thing. So for me, like going from like that to where I am now, it's like, holy shit, like my focus is so different. Even my outlook on things, right? Like I used to be a basket case. Yelling, screaming, like things would just set me into motion and things would fly around rooms or doors would slam. Or now it takes quite a bit to get a rise out of me. I think it really leveled out. I don't know if there's an imbalance with chemicals or what it does. I don't understand that science, but
I don't get it either, but you're absolutely right. That's the way I look at it too. With the mushrooms seem to put a blanket on my temper. I'm able to reason things without jumping to anger into fight or flight mode. I'm more able to reason, and you apply reason to situations without the panic mode setting in. And the LSD, clarity of thought. When I have a paperwork pile on my desk and a list of things that I got to do that's network related, and I'm just like, okay, I got to get into this. Yep, LSD on board, the microdose, man. We're going to pile through that. We're going to be done at the end of the day, and we're going to be good.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the end of the day, we're going to come back and pick this conversation up again. But right now, it's medication time. That's right, Tara. It's commercial break time. We're going to hear a word from a few of our sponsors, and then we'll be back with more. With catching up with Kim and Tara here on Open Your Eye. Hang in. We'll be back in about 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Join us for NOK Network monthly specials, 12 months a year. Movie nights. Spotlight on entertainment. And live on location event coverage. Stay up to date about upcoming programming by subscribing to NOK Network on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Rumble. Check out our webpage at www.noknetwork.com. Are you a Northern Ontario resident? Searching for credible information on cannabis as a medicine? No Sir is here to help. Established in 2013, Northern Ontario Cannabis Education and Resources is here for you. No Sir Director Kim Cooper brings you 45 plus years experience utilizing cannabis as a medicine and is spreading the education across the North. Activism, resources, referrals, and more at No Sir. Don't be a jackass. Say no sir to cannabis propaganda with No Sir. Find us at www.nocer.ca.
Put it away for 30 minutes a day on IWK. The IWK 710 Daily Sesh is a virtual gathering where consumers meet up for a toke and some laughs at 7 p.m. Eastern nightly. Originally aired on Info with Kim social media pages, the IWK 710 Daily Sesh is now also podcasted on NOK Network. Rotating joint hosts bring you a variety of content during this 30-minute virtual smoke sesh. Take a break from the stresses of life and put it all away for 30 minutes a day on IWK. Podcasted nightly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NOK Network.
Advertising space available at NOK. Contact us for a rate sheet at noknetwork.com. Send us a message on our social media platforms or email us at info@noknetwork.com.
Hey, dudes and dudettes. Enjoy the show, man.
And we're back from our medication session here on Open Your Eye. We hope you'll tune into one of the many other podcasts that were highlighted during the break, produced and aired here on the NOK Network. And man, I cut that one close.
It happens. It happens.
I was busy that entire break spamming out the feed.
You too, eh?
Get some people in the house. Yeah, it's been quite the journey. And, learning about all of these different modalities that with some of our guests that we've had here on the show, doing different things.
Absolutely.
There's so much in the world of psychedelic medicine. It isn't just isolated to the sort of the ones that everybody thinks of first, mushrooms, LSD,
Right.
Even DMT in there, even ayahuasca and iboga. I think those are the mains that people go to right away. But of course, ketamine being another big one because it's legal to prescribe for other things, so you can get it as a prescribed medicine and use it for other things than what it was intended for.
Interestingly enough, I have an aunt who, used to have ketamine treatments done in Florida because she has a chronic pain condition that's called chronic regional pain syndrome.
Yeah.
Also known as RSD. It was RSD when she was diagnosed, like back when I was very young. And then they changed it to chronic regional pain syndrome. And ketamine was like the only thing that seemed to alleviate, I guess, her issues. So she was undergoing them probably 10 years ago in the States. But she had to pay for them privately. You couldn't get them here in Canada. You could, but it was hard. And the wait list to get one treatment was a minimum of a year. And you need to have them, I guess, like there's like a protocol for certain conditions that they're using to treat. And if you're skipping those, then it's not giving you the benefits of like back to back, I guess, to subside the nerves, because that's a really tough pain condition to treat. Because your body is literally attacking itself. Your nerve endings are like attacking itself all the time. It's worse than my fibromyalgia and autonomic dysfunction. So, if ketamine works for people, great. It's not the safest thing that you should be using on your own as far as a psychedelic. I wouldn't recommend, going to your local dealer and asking for some ketamine. Probably not safe. It is a heavy duty anesthetic.
People have died from falling into a K-hole.
Exactly.
You're not in the right fucking space for that.
Right.
And if you don't have a facilitator, then people have died. And it's not the ketamine that kills you. It's what your body does on the trip. If you're like near water or something, well, you're going to fucking drown because you become paralyzed.
Yeah, and they're looking at it for treating treatment-resistant depression.
Right.
That was one of the articles we covered on Psychedelic Reporters recently, was ketamine and MDMA and all of those modalities that they're researching on some of these treatment-resistant depressions where people have tried all the pharmaceuticals and they still want to unalive themselves, right? So if we can find something that helps bring them out of that, I don't see a problem with it, right? Again, it's no different than the doctor prescribing you a pill than taking some mushrooms or taking.
That's the thing. With ketamine, it's already an approved drug for other things. So you can't say that it's not safe on the basis of it being sold as a pharmaceutical, because you're already selling it as a pharmaceutical. It's just being repurposed. And I mean, that hurdle should be much lower to climb.
Absolutely. I think it'll be a harder hurdle only because of the safety risks. It's something that obviously, not every Joe Blow facilitator out there can be facilitating for people because it's, it's a tranquilizer. You
gotta be careful. Absolutely.
Right. Whereas, you take a couple ounces of mushrooms, well, you're not going to fall in a K-hole and die, right?
That's right.
You might
never die from mushrooms
and talk to some fairies or who knows, but, so very different, I guess, risk levels with different psychedelics. And I mean, even with mushrooms, I mean, you could have a trip that really freaks you out and, scares the bejesus out of you.
Bad trip gets the name from that. It scared the shit out of me. It wasn't nice, man. You had a bad trip, right? That's
right. You're not going to die from it.
You saw what you needed to fucking see. You're just not dealing with it.
Right. And I wish I knew more of this back in high school, because I had some pretty bad acid trips, which is why I avoided LSD like my entire adult life. I was like, no, that's on you. You go right ahead. That stuff's dangerous. It was never a good thing for me. I was always the one hiding under a bed because I thought something was coming for me, or like just shit got weird, right? But again, when you're dropping 3-4 tabs of acid at 14, 15 years old and you have no idea what you're doing or what it does to your brain, well, no wonder, right? Now that I know what I know now, I wouldn't be as freaked out if, I started getting paranoid but when the paranoia starts, you don't realize it's the LSD.
Talk yourself down now. The knowledge gives us the ability to talk ourselves down.
Exactly, and work through it.
reason through this shit. Okay. All right. Voice of reason
Right.
here. Yeah, you're seeing shit. Yeah, you're tripping
Right.
balls for sure. But just remember, you're tripping balls. That's all. It's not real.
Now, granted, I have not done a recreational dose of LSD in my adulthood. I just microdose with it.
Me too.
And that seems to be good for
And
me.
that's
I'm
good.
okay with that.
Yeah.
If anything, I love that it treats my migraines.
Yeah.
I had the worst
Amazing.
freaking migraine about a week and a bit ago. And it was one of those, so I get different types of migraines. I get some that are the headache right away and they're so intense I'm like throwing up. And then I have others that are the strobies, and it's like these flashy, like spiky lights in my eyes before the headache comes on, and it's very disorientating. It starts to make me feel very nauseous very quickly. And usually within 20 minutes, I'm like, I'm done for the day. Like, I got to go to bed. Nothing touches these. And I've dabbled with the LSD over the few times that I've had these, and it's worked. So this time I was like, you know what? Let's try it again. Let's see if it happens again. And so I did. I started with like 2 mils, which is like the starter dose on my bottle. And it helped a little bit, but 10, 15 minutes in, it still wasn't kicking the crap out of it. So I took another mil and a bit, and I'm telling you, no word of a lie, Kim, it was the weirdest experience, because I never noticed this before, but those sharp, spiky strobies literally started to slowly smooth. Then they were just flashes, but they were smooth. And then eventually they just gone. The lights were gone out of my eyes.
I've never seen them smooth. They're always jagged, like lightning bolts, like this. It's
right,
like
and that's how they started. But as the LSD started working, they started smoothing out. So and I literally watched it over 20, 25 minutes dissipate these jagged flashies down to smoother flashies, down to like nothing. And then they were gone. I had pressure in my head still, but no strobies. Like, it was the weirdest. That freaked me out. I was like,
I think that caused the pain, the intense pain, because as soon as they're gone away, it's like, okay, as soon as they go away, that's when the pain's gonna come. So as soon as I get those things, that's when I do all my prep. It's like I'm blind, but I gotta set everything up, because in 20 minutes I am gonna be putting my head through a wall with the pain.
Exactly, and that's what happens with me. Is it starts with the strobies and then the pain, and then I'm toast, right? Like, once you get the pain, nothing touches them. Even migraine medications, nothing. Right, and this literally stopped it in its tracks, and I literally watched the strobies go from like jagged, bright, aggressive to like.
I haven't had that yet. I used them after the first time you told me about it, because I was already using mushrooms for my migraines. And it's like, as soon as I got the signs of migraine, I was taking a microdose. But of course, as a microdose capsule, well, you have to digest it, and it has to then go through your bloodstream. And, there's a process that's involved whenever you're ingesting anything orally, right? To get that into your bloodstream. So it took a while, and I found that it helped with the pain of the headache. But that's just it. By the time it was working, I was at the point where I had the pain of the headache. That's where we were. And then you told me about the microdose LSD helping you with your headaches. And of course, I have the same product here, and I've been using it therapeutically as well. Once a week, I use microdose LSD, whereas 3 times a week, I use the microdose of psilocybin. So as soon as the last headache I got, I did my starter dose, which is what I thought was enough. And I found it subsided, and I took my micro dose, at the same time to kill the pain that was going to come and everything. And I got through it, and I thought, oh yeah, that helped. But maybe I didn't do enough to actually see that regression of the actual flashies. You call them flashies. We all got our name for them.
Yeah, the strobies. It's like the most intense, weird, like disorienting, like, because you can't see through. Like,
no, you can't. You're
very little visual. Yeah, and when you close your eyes, and it's even worse.
Yeah,
you see it in the back of your eyelids.
Is gone. You've got a little bit of peripherals, but anything you're looking at, you can't see.
And it starts spinning.
And it's good to
And
know
when-
that these
When 2
medicines
mils
help.
didn't quite cut it, I thought, well, I got nothing to lose. The worst case, I'm going to end up in bed anyways. So let's
Right.
try a little more.
Right. I'm gonna
I mean,
try that next time for
up
sure.
to 5 mLs on that bottle is considered a microdose. And
Yeah.
I've never made it to the full 5 ml microdose. I've never really needed to.
No, me neither.
But I really
Half
want
that,
to
if
know
that.
why it helps migraines.
Yeah.
Is it that it opens the veins in our brain more? Like, what is it that it's doing in there that it actually worked? Not once, not twice. This is probably the 4th or 5th time I've used it in this manner to treat a migraine that it's worked for. There's been the odd time it hasn't. But again, every migraine is different, and I get different types of migraines depending on weather, depending on what's going on with my neck, because I have degenerative discs in my neck and all sorts of nerve damage. So there's different reasons for my headaches. But for those stroby ones, I tell you, it kicks the crap right out of them. I'm blown away.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. I want to touch on a
Yeah.
couple other modalities that we had through the year. And, there's a lot of people out there that are still iffy about ingesting a psychedelic, but there's other things that are going on out there. Sound therapy, light therapy, meditation, breath work. We've had breath work specialists in where they can put you in a similar state just through rhythmic breathing, sort of meditating with the sound bowls, as we had with the Church of Psilocybin, that Justin Hin, that does sound bowls. That was fucking very cool.
I've seen sound bowls in use. My first mushroom experience as an adult was at a psychedelic weekend retreat up in the Muskokas. My friend Paula invited me, and I went. And, long story short, mushrooms were consumed, lots of them. And it was an epic night. But later in the evening, well, I should say early morning, someone was having not so good of a time and really tripping out, and Paula went and got her sounding bowls and started with this, right, and it was absolutely incredible to see this person who was having a not so good experience, was like, had consumed a lot and was having an ego death experience beyond her control, and Paula just knew she just needed to bring her down a notch, and the sounding bowls just brought her right back down to grounding, and she was able to kind of guide her through it, and things went well after that. And it was almost like magical. Yeah. But Paula's facilitated over the years, I think, quite a bit behind the scenes. I don't think she's as open as some in the industry, but yeah, she has facilitated in the past with mushrooms. I'm not sure about the DMT and all of that stuff, but it wouldn't surprise me any. Yeah, she's very into that.
Jameson for a while was doing the light. You could go into a little booth and
the light. Yes.
Yeah, depending on what you wanted, you could program this light board to do different light patterns, and it would take you on a different trip. So you could program it to activate the same receptors as LSD, or activate the same receptors as DMT or mushrooms or what have you. And this can all be done with light boards. But the problem with light boards is you've got to be very careful with anybody who may be sensitive to seizure activity aggravated by like a strobe light or anything like that. So if you're sensitive to a strobe light, then that's not a great modality for you.
Exactly. Yeah, no, strobe lights are not for everyone.
No, and they're not for me, which is why that's one that I will never, ever try.
Yeah, I worry about it with me because of my migraines, right? Not that I have any sort of epilepsy, but with my migraines, I find that I am very light sensitive, even having to wear sunglasses during the day, if there's even, a hint of light in the sky, because my eyes are much more sensitive. So I try to avoid like bars that have strobe lights. Stuff like that.
Because the same on that.
Yeah. And I mean, we were probably the same girls that were dancing on speakers back in our early 20s, right?
100%. 100%. I'm dancing with the speaker, because front of the music, hugging the fucking music, you know, that's coming out of that speaker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, the shit we put our bodies through may have had an effect on our long-term health. Just saying.
Maybe part of our problems that we're experiencing today, that's for sure. You know, but it's been an interesting journey for the past year. I'm on now I'll be going into year 3 of regulated microdosing.
Yeah, same here.
Where my alarm goes off. I take my microdoses. You
Yep.
know, I've had a couple of this. I'll say honestly, in the last 12 months. So from April of last year till April of this year, I have had more gaps than I had in the year previous. The year previous, I had 0 gaps, and I seen an amazing improvement in my overall mental well-being, and my ability to function as a human being. Huge difference. I will say that with the gaps that I've experienced, I've let things slide. I think you get comfortable. You think, no, I'm okay. I got busy. Oh, I don't have time for that. And then before you know it, you've said, I don't have time for that for 3 weeks now. And there's a gap now. And you start noticing the effects of that gap immediately. And it's like, oh, look what you did there, eh? Fuck, you can't let that happen. But I noticed immediately now, but you get comfortable, and it's very easy to slide back.
Yeah, I've had a few backslides here and there, not as intense as they could be, but I have where I've gotten busy, especially when my daughter was working a lot back in the winter. And of course, it's dark earlier. This is the time I struggle the most with everything from pain to like just my mental well-being, right? Yeah. Winter's always been the worst. Again, microdosing was a game changer for me when I started with that, as far as like, not wanting to curl up in my bed at 5 o'clock because it's dark out and my brain says it's bedtime, right? Because you could fight it all you wanted, but it was literally as the sun went down, I just needed to be in my bed. I could not function outside of daylight hours. And it became very depressing and very isolated. And I mean, winter's the worst anyways, because people don't like to do a lot in the winter. So for me, microdosing kind of helped bring me out of that and control some of that. And then I kind of, once in a while, like I said, she'd get busy, I get busy. And then, I'd be like, oh shit, it's 10 o'clock at night. I didn't microdose today. Well, I'm not going to do it now, because I find that they do keep me somewhat awake, especially my favorite strains to microdose. They're a little more uppy strains. So for me, I like to do them earlier in the evening, and sometimes I just forget, and then it'd be too late. And, the next day something would happen and I'd forget again. And then, by day 4, I'm like, what is going on? Like, why do I feel, I don't know, just sluggish and not myself, and something's not right. And I'd be like, fuck, you know what? I'm fucking microdose. I haven't microdosed in 3 days. That's what it is. Tonight, I'm going to curl up in my bed and I'm doing some microdoses, and I'm just going to like take a me night and get back on track. And then I get back on track. And I found that I've become more in tune to like even missing a day or two. I almost recognize that first little sign now. So I'm like a little more vigilant, I think, because those backslides scare me. Like I really don't like to go backwards in time. My whole thing for the last 13 years, like basically, 2012 was a game-changing year in my life. My marriage ended. Shit was fucked up in my world, mentally, emotionally. There was a lot of stuff going on, and the progression from then to now has been a game changer, and I've never gone back, right? Like I never want to back. I took all those things that I didn't like about myself anymore, and started working on them. And it wasn't easy. This is all pre-microdosing. Now with the microdosing, it's, the progress I've made mentally and emotionally is, it's huge. It's huge for me. Yeah.
I think both of us can say that about the progression on each of our respective journeys. Oh, my dear, we killed an hour. We've got show following us in about 15 minutes time, so we're going to wrap this up. We will let you know once again, we are off for the next 30 days. We will be back and returning in May. The first Thursday in May is when our next show will be. We are off for the entire month of April. So our return date will be May the 2nd here in 2024. And I'll have a full update of my upcoming experience with insufflation of tobacco, the use of 5-MeO-DMT, as well as NMDMT.
And is that the plant-based?
Yeah, that's the plant-based.
Right.
So, with a facilitator who is going to take control of the entire ceremony and take me on a 4-hour journey.
Yeah, I'm so stoked. I mean, we've interviewed Jameson numerous times on the show. I've known him, like, not in person, but just as long as you, and we've never met in person. So this
I'm looking forward to this.
Absolutely. And I can't wait to see this journey for you because, again, I was your first trip sitter, and I saw that experience. So this will be a whole new experience. And
we are recording it. It's not going to be live or anything like that. But
no live.
I am the one that's on the journey. It is going to be my camera equipment that is going to be set up. I am recording this. And then after a number of days, when I've absorbed the journey, I will take a look at the footage and I will take out bits and parts and clips and share the clips with the audience upon our return, and we will discuss it at length.
That's so cool. I can't wait, Kim. Like, I'm so stoked. It's got to be April 4th already, is it not?
Next week, 1 week. So thank you
down here.
Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in to tonight's recap with 2 patients on our journeys with psychedelic medicine here on Open Your Eye. Myself, Kim Cooper, and Tarra Simpson in the house. We look forward to our break, but we look forward to coming back with y'all in about 4 weeks' time on May the 2nd. Until then, we hope we have opened the doors to your curiosity just a crack. Maybe you can come on out here with us and open your eye. We'll be back again May 4th, y'all. Have a great April. Happy 420 to my cannabis peeps out there. And we'll see you all on the road in Southern Ontario and Vancouver. Peace out, everybody. Have a great night.
Open your eyes.